You should just think of wind as a river. There's energy in the air as it passes past the blades. The blades are just like an airplane wing. It wants to take off as soon as the wind hits it. It causes a rotation. That rotation is connected to a gearbox that makes it much faster and goes to a generator.
The amount of power a wind turbine makes depends on how much wind hits the blades and how fast it hits the blades. If the turbine makes 2.1 megawatts consistently for a whole hour, it would have generated 2,000 kilowatt hours. And that's enough to run my home for 3 months. Even in states where county authority can be limited, counties are heavily involved in the management of these projects.
I think we've learned recently or in the last few years to think outside the box. So don't just focus on the abatement agreement or just the pilot agreement. A lot of these companies, they want to put in a good light for themselves. We had one wind project that donated a new ambulance because they hadn't had a new ambulance in probably 10 years. They always say, you know, what can we do for you? But you need to be prepared to answer those questions when they ask, because that's the time to strike.
Rangeland is perfect because, especially with wind, the rancher can continue to practice their ranching techniques, whether it be cattle or raising wheat. Meanwhile, they get a nice revenue source for 35 years from the wind turbine, so it's a perfect application. If a county is new and doesn't have the zoning or the ordinance or the policies that will govern how a developer works, I would strongly recommend that they develop those tool sets that they can use best practices from other counties. Sherman County, where we're at right now, has been working with solar and wind and storage for 20 years. And I think fellow counties should just talk to their fellow county officials and say, what can we do?
If you don't travel, if you don't expose yourself to other ideas, to other opportunities, then how will you ever learn? And so NACo's facilitating trips like this is critically important to gain a broader understanding, because not everybody thinks the same, not everybody has the same ideas for their communities. And obviously our communities are very different too, from very rural communities like this to the urbanized centers of the country. So unless we understand each other, I don't think we can ever arrive at any consensus about what ought to be done.